The transport ship shuddered as it docked with Helios 7 station. Hannah Kim pressed her forehead against the cold window, watching the massive structure grow larger. Her reflection stared back at her with tired eyes that had seen too much for 18 years. 3 years of war had carved lines into her face that shouldn't be there yet. The scar running from her left eyebrow to her cheek was still pink and fresh. She touched it without thinking, remembering the explosion at Carpathia. The screaming, the fire, the bodies. Final approach complete, the automated voice announced. Welcome to Quantum Defense Academy. Hannah grabbed her single bag and stood. Everything she owned fit in one military-issue duffel. That's what war did to you. It taught you that things didn't matter. Only survival mattered. The airlock hissed open. Bright lights flooded in, so different from the dim red combat lighting she'd lived under for years. Hannah squinted and stepped onto the station. The corridor was beautiful in a way that seemed impossible. Gleaming white walls, holographic displays showing peaceful landscapes, and students everywhere. Alien students. Avrelian walked past, its 4 arms carrying data tablets. Its armored skin was purple and black, just like the soldiers Hannah had fought against. Her hand moved to her hip where her sidearm used to be. Nothing there. No weapons allowed at the academy. Her heart pounded. The Vrelian glanced at her and kept walking. Not an enemy. Not anymore. The war was over. Peace treaty signed. She had to remember that. You must be Hannah Kim. A cheerful voice made her jump. A girl bounded over, human, with a bright smile and perfectly styled hair. I'm Suji Lee, your roommate. I've been waiting forever for you to arrive. Suji grabbed Hannah's bag before she could protest and started walking, talking rapidly. You're going to love it here. The food synthesizers have like 1,000 options. And there's this viewing deck where you can see 3 different nebulas, and the alien students are so interesting. I met a Lumen yesterday, and she showed me how they communicate through light patterns. It was amazing. Hannah followed silently, overwhelmed by Suji's energy. This girl had probably never seen combat, never held a rifle, never watched friends die. She was what Hannah used to be, a lifetime ago. Their room was small but clean. 2 beds, 2 desks, a shared bathroom. Suji had already decorated her side with posters and photos. Hannah's side was empty. So is it true you fought in the Outer Rim campaigns? Suji asked, sitting cross-legged on her bed. What was it like? I don't want to talk about it. Hannah started unpacking her few belongings. 2 uniforms. Some clothes. A photo of her family. A medal she never wore. Oh, sorry. Suji's smile faded a little. Colonel Park said you were a hero. That you saved a lot of people at Carpathia. Hannah's hands stopped moving. Colonel Park should mind his own business. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, Suji said, Well, classes start tomorrow. I can show you around if you want. The academy is huge, and it's easy to get lost. I'll be fine. Hannah finished unpacking and lay down on her bed, turning to face the wall. She heard Suji leave quietly. Alone, Hannah closed her eyes and tried to sleep. But sleep meant nightmares, so she stared at the wall instead, counting her breaths like her therapist taught her. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. It barely helped. That evening, Suji convinced her to go to dinner. The cafeteria was massive, filled with hundreds of students from dozens of species. Chitauri with their insect bodies and translucent wings. Lumens that looked like walking crystals. Neferi that floated like clouds of colored gas. And scattered among them humans. Not many. Maybe 30 total. Hannah noticed how the alien students watched the humans. Not with curiosity. With something else. Something that made her soldier instincts scream warnings. They got their food and found a table. Suji kept talking about her classes, her friends, the cultural exchange programs. Hana ate mechanically, not tasting anything. Hey, humans. A shadow fell over their table. Hana looked up to see 3 alien students. The one who spoke was Vrelian, tall and armored, with all 4 arms crossed. 2 others flanked him, a Chitauri and another species she didn't recognize. Hi, Suji said brightly. I'm Suji. This is Hana. Want to join us? The Vrelian smiled, showing too many teeth. We just wanted to welcome the new human, especially one with such an impressive military record. Hana Kim, right? Hero of Carpathia? Something was wrong. Hana could feel it in her bones, the same feeling she got before ambushes. That's me, she said carefully. Interesting. We're curious about human durability. The war records say you're very hard to kill. Is that true? Leave us alone, Hana said quietly. Or what? You'll fight us? The Vrelian laughed. There are rules here, human. No violence. You're not a soldier anymore. You're just another weak student. They walked away, laughing. Suji looked worried. That was weird. They're usually not that rude. Hana watched them go, her mind already calculating threat levels, exit routes, defensive positions. Old habits. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, listening to Suji's soft breathing, and stared at the ceiling. Around midnight, she heard something. Voices in the hallway. Angry voices. She got up silently and opened the door a crack. Down the corridor, 3 alien students had Suji cornered. Not her Suji. Another human girl, younger, terrified. The aliens were pushing her, testing her, laughing when she flinched. Hana's vision went red. Her body moved before her mind caught up, 3 years of combat training taking over. She walked down the corridor in bare feet, perfectly silent. Hey, she said softly. The aliens turned. It was the same 3 from dinner. The Vrelian smiled. The hero. Come to save the day? Let her go. Or what? Hana moved. Not like a student. Like a soldier. The Vrelian reached for her, and she redirected his arm, using his own strength against him. He crashed into the wall. The Chitauri lunged, and she swept its legs, sending it sprawling. The 3rd alien backed away, suddenly afraid. 10 seconds. That's all it took. The Vrelian got up slowly, all 4 arms raised. You'll regret that, human. Doubtful, Hana said. Her heart was racing, but her voice was steady. Touch another human student, and I'll show you what I really learned at Carpathia. They left. The human girl ran back to her room. Hana stood alone in the hallway, breathing hard, her hands shaking. Not from fear. From rage, footsteps approached. A massive figure emerged from the shadows. The headmaster, a Vrelian even larger than the students, with robes that marked him as High Curator. Hana Kim, he said in a voice like grinding stones. Violence is strictly forbidden at this academy. They were hurting her. I saw no such thing. I saw only you attacking 3 students unprovoked. His eyes gleamed. Your military experience means nothing here. You are a student now. Act like one, or you will be expelled. He walked away, leaving Hana alone in the dim corridor. She looked down at her hands. They were steady now, and she understood. This wasn't a school. This was something else. Something dangerous. She went back to her room and didn't sleep at all. Instead, she started planning. Because if there was one thing Hana Kim knew how to do, it was survive. Morning came too fast. Hana got up before her alarm, a habit from the military. Suji was still asleep, peaceful and unaware. Hana envied that innocence. Classes were strange. The teachers were competent, but distant, especially with human students. When a Vrelian student made a cutting remark about human weakness, the teacher said nothing. When a human student asked for help, the response was always brief and dismissive. Between classes, Hana noticed more. Human students walked in groups, never alone. They sat at separate tables in the cafeteria. They avoided certain corridors. This wasn't random. This was survival behavior got at lunch. She approached a group of 3 human students sitting by themselves. "Can I sit?" They looked up, wary. One of them, a young man with engineer markings on his uniform, nodded. "You're the new one. Hana, right? I'm Minho. This is Gina and Taiyang." Gina was small with medic patches on her jacket. Taiyang was thin and nervous, constantly checking a datapad. They all had the same look in their eyes. Fear barely hidden. What's really going on here? Hana asked quietly. Minho glanced around before answering. "You mean besides the constant harassment? The accidents? The way teachers ignore everything? Accidents?" Gina leaned forward. "Last month, a human student's airlock malfunctioned during a training exercise. He almost died. Week before that, 3 students got food poisoning from the synthesizers. Only humans. Always only humans. That's not possible statistically," Hana said. "Exactly." Taiyang tapped his datapad. "I've been tracking it. Human injury rate is 300% higher than any other species. Equipment failures, environmental hazards, even medical mix-ups. All affecting humans disproportionately. Have you reported this?" "To who?" Minho's laugh was bitter. "The headmaster? The teachers? They're part of it." Hana felt that old combat awareness kick in. "Part of what?" Taiyang hesitated, then turned his pad so she could see. "I've been hacking into restricted files. Carefully. There's a program called Project Endurance. It's classified, but I've pieced together enough to understand what it is." The screen showed fragments of documents, coded messages, funding records from multiple alien governments. Hana read quickly, her blood growing cold. "They're testing us," she said slowly, "to see if humans are really as strong as the war made us seem." "Not just testing," Gina said. "They're trying to break us, systematically. Every human who transfers out, everyone who cracks under pressure, that's data. Proof that humanity's success in the war was luck, not strength. And if they prove that?" Hana asked, though she already knew the answer. "Then the peace treaty gets renegotiated, with Earth in a much weaker position." Minho's hands clenched into fists. "We're not students here. We're lab rats." Hana sat back, processing. This explained everything. The hostile students, the negligent teachers, the headmaster's warning. The academy was a battlefield, just a different kind than she expected. How many humans know? She asked. Most suspect something's wrong, but knowing makes it worse. Gina looked exhausted. 6 students have already transferred out. That's exactly what they want. Proof we can't handle pressure. So we're just going to let them win. What choice do we have? Taiyang's voice cracked. I'm not a soldier. I'm a programmer who barely avoided the draft. I can't fight aliens with 4 arms and armor plating. Hana looked at each of them. They were scared, broken down, ready to quit. Exactly what the enemy wanted. Because that's what the aliens were, she realized. Not classmates. Enemies in an undeclared war. Listen to me, she said, her voice carrying the command tone she'd learned in combat. This is just another battlefield. Different rules, same principle. They want us scared and scattered. So we do the opposite. How? Minho asked. We organize. We adapt. We show them what humans really are. That evening, Hana called a meeting. She used Taiyang's hacking skills to send encrypted messages to every human student. They met in an unused storage bay. Away from surveillance, 32 humans showed up. Most were young, civilian, terrified. A few had military backgrounds like Hana. All of them looked desperate. Hana stood before them on a cargo container, feeling like she was back in the war, giving pre-mission briefings. I know you're scared. I know you want to go home. But if we leave, we lose. Not just for ourselves, for all of humanity. They're bigger than us, someone called out. Stronger. They have advantages we don't. That's what the Vrelians thought during the war, Hana replied. They were bigger, stronger, better armed. But we won. You know why? Not because we were tougher. Because we were smarter. We adapted. We worked together. We refused to quit. She pointed at Taiyang. You can hack their systems, track their movements, intercept their communications. She pointed at Gina. You know medicine. You can teach us all how to handle injuries and defend ourselves without weapons. She pointed at Minho. You're an engineer. You can counter their sabotage and turn their tricks against them. Hannah looked at each face. They took away our weapons. But they forgot something. Humans don't need weapons to be dangerous. Our brains are our weapons. Our ability to cooperate is our weapon. Our refusal to stay down is our weapon. What's your plan? Suji asked. She'd been quiet until now, but her eyes were fierce. We turn this place into our territory. We stop reacting and start controlling. Every ambush they plan, we know about it first. Every accident they arrange, we prevent it. Every test they throw at us, we pass. We don't just survive here. We thrive. And if they escalate? Someone asked. They will, Hana said grimly. But so will we. Non-violently. We can't give them an excuse to expel us. But we can make them regret ever starting Project Endurance. Slowly, heads started nodding. Hope flickered in tired eyes. We're not soldiers, a girl said. Most of us. You don't need to be soldiers, Hana said. You just need to be human. And that's enough. The meeting ended with assignments. Taiyang would hack surveillance and communications. Gino would train everyone in self-defense and medicine. Minho would counter equipment sabotage. Others would handle supply chains, information networks, and coordination. And Hana would lead. Not because she wanted to, but because she was the only one who knew how. Over the next weeks, things changed. When alien students tried to corner a human, they found their target wasn't alone anymore. Humans started moving in coordinated groups, appearing exactly when needed. When equipment failed, Minho had already fixed it or prepared backups. When food was contaminated, the humans had alternative supplies ready. The alien students grew frustrated. Their easy targets were gone. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were anticipating attacks before they happened. Headmaster Zenith noticed. Hana saw him watching her in corridors, his eyes calculating. She knew what was coming. The enemy was regrouping for a bigger assault. One night, Taiyang burst into Hana's room, his face white. I found something. In the deep files. Something bad. He showed her his pad. An official Academy announcement, scheduled for release in 3 days. A mandatory survival exercise on Talon 9 Moon. All students. 5 days. Teams of 10. It's a trap, Hana said immediately. Worse, I found the real purpose. Taiyang pulled up another file. It's the final phase of Project Endurance. They're calling it the Crucible. They want to see humans break under extreme conditions. Hana read the details. Hostile environment. Limited resources. Competing teams. Rules that allowed reasonable force. It was sanctioned hunting, with humans as prey. They're going to kill us, Taiyang whispered. No, Hana said, her mind already racing through tactics and strategies. They're going to try. But we're going to show them why you never back a human into a corner. She pulled up maps of Talon 9, environmental data, terrain analysis. The soldier in her was fully awake now. This wasn't a school exercise. This was War. And Hana Kim knew how to win wars. The announcement came during morning assembly. Headmaster Zenith stood on the stage, his massive form imposing under the lights. Students, we have a proud tradition at this academy. The Crucible. A survival exercise that tests your abilities in real conditions. Hana watched from the back, surrounded by the other humans. They all knew this was coming, but hearing it made it real. You will be transported to Talon 9 Moon for 5 days. Teams of 10. You'll compete for resources, establish camps, and demonstrate survival skills. Extraction will occur at a single point on day 5. Zenith's eyes swept the crowd. This exercise is mandatory. No exceptions. Murmurs filled the hall. Alien students looked excited, eager. Human students looked terrified. Teams will be assigned randomly, Zenith continued. You may use any non-lethal methods to secure resources and territory. Good luck. The assembly ended. Students filed out, talking loudly. The humans moved together, silent in their storage bay hideout. Hana gathered everyone. Random teams is a lie. They'll separate us, put humans with hostile aliens or alone. We can't let that happen. How do we stop it? Gina asked. Taiyang raised his hand nervously. I can hack the team assignment system. Make sure all 32 humans end up distributed in groups where we can still coordinate. Do it, Hana ordered. But make it look random. We can't tip them off. What about on the moon? Minho asked. They'll have advantages. Forearms, armor, flight. We'll be in the worst territory for sure. I've been studying Talon 9 for 3 days, Hana said, pulling up holograms. The moon has zones. Best zones have water and shelter. Worst zone is the southern swamp. Acidic water, toxic plants, dangerous wildlife. They'll put us there, someone muttered. Exactly. Which is why we want to be there. Everyone stared at her. That's crazy, Suji said. No, it's tactical. Hana zoomed in on the swamp. The swamp is nutrient-rich despite being acidic. The plants are toxic, but edible if processed correctly. The terrain is perfect for defense because large groups can't maneuver well. And look here. She pointed to underground channels. Freshwater aquifers below the surface. Minho, can we reach them? Minho studied the data. Yes, with basic equipment, I can rig a filtration system in hours. The swamp also has dense canopy cover, Hana continued. That neutralizes flying species. The acidic water hurts armored species more than us. Environmentally, it's hell. Tactically, it's perfect. Gina nodded slowly. Turn their advantage into our advantage. Exactly. We don't have forearms or armor, but we have brains. We plan, we adapt. We make them fight on our terms. Over the next 2 days, they prepared. Taiyang hacked equipment manifests to ensure humans got specific supplies. Gina created medical kits from synthesizer materials. Minho designed improvised tools. Everyone memorized their roles. The night before departure, Hana couldn't sleep. She sat on the viewing deck, watching stars, thinking about Carpathia. The siege, the screaming, the moment she earned her medal by holding a position, alone for 6 hours while her unit evacuated. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired. Can't sleep either? Suji sat down next to her, just thinking. We're all scared, Suji said quietly. But we trust you. You've done this before. Led people through impossible situations. This is different. At Carpathia, I had soldiers. Trained fighters. Here I have civilians. You have humans, Suji corrected. That's better. Hannah looked at her. When did you become wise? When I stopped being terrified and started being angry. Suji smiled grimly. They wanted to break us. Make us weak. But you showed us we're not. We're human. That means something. The next morning, they boarded the transport. The alien students were loud and confident. The humans were quiet and focused. Talon 9 grew large in the viewport. A brown and green moon with swirling atmosphere. Beautiful and deadly. The drop was rough. Humans were deposited in the southern swamp, exactly as predicted. The moment Hana's boots hit mud, the transport lifted off, leaving them in a nightmare landscape. Acidic water bubbled around them. Strange plants with barbed leaves grew everywhere. The air was hot and humid, hard to breathe. Insects the size of fists buzzed overhead. Welcome to hell, Minho muttered. No, Hana said, already assessing terrain. Welcome home. Move out. Formation Delta. We have 3 hours before other teams realize we're here. They moved like a military unit, even the civilians. Weeks of training paid off. Within an hour, they'd secured a defensible position on high ground surrounded by water. Minho started drilling for the aquifer. Gina set up a medical station. Tai Yang established communications monitoring. Other humans arrived from different drop zones, navigating by prearranged signals. By nightfall, all 32 were together, fortified, with clean water and edible food. They expected us scattered and panicking. Hana told her command group. Instead, we're organized and prepared. That confusion is our advantage. Tomorrow, they'll come for us. She was right. At dawn, Havrelian team attacked, 12 of them, expecting easy prey. Instead, they found coordinated defense. Humans used terrain perfectly, forcing the Vrelians into narrow approaches where their size was a disadvantage. Improvised traps caught 3. Coordinated strikes from multiple angles confused their formation. The Vrelians retreated shocked. First blood to us, Minho said, grinning. But Hana wasn't celebrating. They'll come back. Bigger groups. Better prepared. She was right. Over the next 2 days, they faced constant attacks. Chitauri aerial assaults that the humans countered with nets and canopy cover. Lumen teams trying to overwhelm them with numbers, broken by tactical retreats and ambushes. Mixed alien groups with superior strength, defeated by superior planning. The humans didn't just survive. They dominated. Suji, the civilian girl who'd never fought, coordinated supply chains with brutal efficiency. Tai Yang intercepted alien communications, giving them advance warning of every attack. Gina's medical team kept everyone fighting ready. And Hana led from the front, demonstrating the tactical flexibility that made humans dangerous. She was everywhere, directing defenses, organizing counterattacks, inspiring exhausted fighters. On day 3, something unexpected happened. A young Nefari student stumbled into their camp, injured and alone. Her team had abandoned her when she couldn't keep up in Talon 9's heavy gravity. Please, she gasped, her cloud-like form dimming. Help me. She's the enemy, someone said. Hana knelt beside the Nefari. No, she's a kid who needs help. She looked at Gina. Treat her. But we're not them, Hana said firmly. We don't abandon people. Ever. Gina stabilized the Nefari. They created a gravity-reduced zone using equipment Minho rigged. Then Suji and 2 others carried her back to her own camp's territory, making sure she was safe. Word spread fast. The humans weren't just tough. They were honorable. They saved enemies. More injured aliens started appearing, abandoned by their own teams. The humans helped each of them. This wasn't Project Endurance's plan. The experiment assumed humans would become cruel under pressure. Instead, they became more human. Headmaster Zenith watched from orbit, furious. This wasn't breaking humans. It was proving them superior. On day 4, the situation changed. Zenith made an announcement over emergency channels. Survival exercise updated. Extraction moved to dawn, day 5. Single point only. Northern Plateau. All students must reach extraction or remain on Talon 9 indefinitely. The Northern Plateau was 40 kilometers away through hostile terrain. Students panicked, but Zenith wasn't done. Additionally, Talon strikers have been released into the zone. Good luck, Talon strikers. Apex predators. 12 feet tall. Electromagnetic senses. Pack hunters. The moon's most dangerous creatures. Taiyang hacked into monitoring feeds. His face went white. They've already killed 3 alien teams. Students are dying. Real dying. The humans gathered around Hana. What do we do? Suji asked. Hana stared at the maps. 40 kilometers. Strikers hunting. Hundreds of alien students scattered and helpless. She could lead the humans to safety. Ignore the aliens who tormented them for months. It would be justified. But she thought about the Neferi they'd saved. She thought about Carpathia, where she'd held the line so others could live. She thought about what Colonel Dong Yun had told her. Show them what humanity means. We save them, Hana said. What? Multiple voices asked simultaneously. The alien students. We save them. All of them? They tried to kill us. Someone shouted, I know. Hana's voice was steel. But we're better than them. That's the whole point. We don't save them because they deserve it. We save them because we're human, and that's what humans do. Silence. Then slowly, Suji nodded. She's right. Others nodded too. Even the scared civilians saw the truth. This was their chance to prove Project Endurance completely wrong. Hana divided them into rescue teams. We have 12 hours until dawn. Let's show these aliens what humanity really means. The Talon strikers moved through the darkness like nightmares made flesh. Hana watched through Taiyang's hacked surveillance feed as one tore through an alien camp. The students scattered, screaming. 3 didn't make it. There are 7 striker packs, Taiyang reported, his voice shaking. 40+ creatures total. They're herding students away from the extraction point. Zenith planned this, Minho said bitterly. Maximum casualties. Hana studied the feeds, her combat mind analyzing patterns. The strikers hunt using electromagnetic senses. They detect heartbeats, nervous systems, but they avoid fire and loud noises confuse them. So we use fire and sound as weapons, Gina said. Exactly. Minho, can you create acoustic devices? From our equipment? Yes, crude but effective. Do it. We have 32 humans. We'll split into teams of 4. 8 rescue teams covering 8 zones. Hana traced routes on the map. Taiyang monitors and guides. Gina's team handles medical. Everyone else rotates between distraction and evacuation. That's insane, someone whispered. We're not soldiers. No, Hana agreed. We're better. Soldiers follow orders. Humans choose to save people. There's a difference. They gathered their improvised equipment. Fire starters. Acoustic devices that shrieked when activated. First aid supplies. Not much, but enough. Listen, Hana said to all of them. Some of you have never fought. Some of you are terrified. That's okay. Fear means you understand the danger. But fear doesn't mean helpless. You've survived weeks of harassment. You've built a working community from nothing. You've already proven you're capable of incredible things. She looked each person in the eye. Tonight, we prove it to everyone else. We don't fight for glory. We fight because someone has to, and we're the only ones who will. That's what being human means. Suji stepped forward. I'll lead Evacuation Team 3. I'll take Team 5, Minho said. One by one, volunteers stepped up. Even the most terrified found courage. They moved out into the night. Hannah led Team 1 toward the nearest striker pack. Through her comb, she heard reports from other teams. Brief, professional. Scared, but functional. Team 2 engaging strikers near Sector 4. Team 6 extracting injured Chitauri students. Team 7 needs support. Multiple casualties. Hannah's team reached a ravine where a Lumen group was trapped. 5 strikers circled them, electromagnetic senses locked on the crystalline students' unique energy signatures. The Lumens were brilliant targets, glowing in the darkness. Light them up, Hannah ordered. Her team activated fire starters. Flames erupted in a semicircle, forcing the strikers back. The acoustic devices shrieked, confusing their senses. In the chaos, Hannah's team rushed in. Move! Follow us. Hannah grabbed a Lumen student, pulling them toward safety. A striper lunged. Hannah rolled under its claws, came up, jabbed a burning branch into its face. The creature roared and retreated. Not dead, but hurt enough to hesitate. They evacuated all 5 Lumens. As soon as they were safe, Hannah's team moved to the next crisis. Across Tower 9, the same scene played out repeatedly. Humans running toward danger while everyone else ran away. They used fire, sound, terrain, and coordination to fight creatures designed to be apex predators, Dot in Sector 7. Suji led her team in evacuating a Vrelian group. The same Vrelians who'd attacked her on her first day. They stared at her in shock as she organized their rescue. Why? One asked. Because someone has to, Suji replied. Now move before I change my mind. In Sector 9, Minho's team fought off 3 strikers using nothing but improvised explosives and tactical positioning. When the smoke cleared, they'd saved 12 alien students who'd been left for dead by their own teams. Gina's medical team worked miracles, stabilizing critically injured students with limited supplies. She taught alien students basic first aid, turning victims into helpers. And Hannah was everywhere, coordinating through comms, making split-second decisions, moving from crisis to crisis. She felt like she was back at Carpathia, holding the line against impossible odds. But this time, she wasn't alone. 32 humans fought beside her. Team 4 reports all students in Sector 2 evacuated. Team 8 engaged. Need support. Team 1 moving to assist Team 8. The night became a blur of fire and fear and desperate action. Hours passed. The extraction point grew closer, a beacon in the distance. But the strikers weren't done. The largest pack, led by an alpha twice the size of the others, moved to block the final approach to the plateau. Hundreds of students huddled behind a rocky outcrop, trapped. We can't fight that, Taiyang said over comms. That alpha has taken direct fire hits and kept coming. Hannah assessed the situation. The alpha was smart, keeping its pack between the students and safety. Dawn was 2 hours away. If they didn't move now, people would die. All teams, converge on my position, Hannah ordered. We're ending this. The 32 humans gathered. They were exhausted, injured, running on adrenaline and determination. But none suggested retreat. That alpha is the key, Hannah said. It's directing the others. We take it down, the pack scatters. How do we take down something that size? Someone asked. Together. Hannah sketched a plan in the dirt. We're going to do what humans have done for thousands of years. We're going to hunt. They spread out in a coordinated pattern. Distraction team drew the smaller stripers away using fire and sound. Medical team positioned to receive wounded. And Hana led an assault team of 8 straight at the Alpha. The creature was massive, its electromagnetic crown glowing as it sensed their approach. It roared, a sound that shook the ground. Hana didn't hesitate. She ran straight at it. The Alpha lunged. Hana slid under its attack, came up, drove a sharpened metal rod into its leg joint. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to hurt. The creature spun. Minho hit it from the other side. Then Suji. Then 3 others. They swarmed it like ancient humans hunting mammoths. Individual attacks didn't matter. Coordinated assault did. The Alpha couldn't focus on one threat because there were 8, constantly moving, constantly attacking. Fire streaked across its hide. Acoustic devices disrupted its senses. Sharpened metal found gaps in natural armor. The Alpha roared in fury, and pained. Hana saw her opening. She climbed onto the creature's back, holding tight as it bucked. She drove her improvised spear toward its electromagnetic crown. The organ that let it hunt. The Alpha screamed, collapsed, didn't die, but was neutralized. The smaller strikers scattered immediately. Leaderless, the path to extraction was clear. Hana stood on the fallen Alpha's back, breathing hard, bleeding from a dozen cuts. Around her, her team collapsed, exhausted but alive. Extraction point clear. She called, "Move everyone through." Over the next hour, hundreds of alien students reached the plateau. Human teams guided them, supported them, saved them. Students who'd spent months trying to break humans now owed humans their lives. Dawn broke. Extraction ships descended. Headmaster Zenith stood at the landing zone, his expression unreadable. Hana was the last aboard, making sure every single student got on safely. She walked past Zenith, covered in blood and mud, exhausted beyond measure. "You wanted to test human endurance?" She said quietly. "Here's your result. We endured your students. We endured your failure. We endured your creatures. But more than that, we won. Not by being strongest. We won by being human." She boarded the ship. Behind her, alien students watched with something new in their eyes. Not fear, not contempt, respect. In the ship, Suji collapsed next to her. "Did we really just do that?" "Yes." Hana closed her eyes. "Yes, we did. What happens now?" Hana thought about Project Endurance, about the conspiracy that brought them here, about the aliens who tried to break them and failed spectacularly. "Now," she said, "things change." The ship lifted off, leaving Talon 9 behind. But what happened there would echo across the galaxy. 32 humans had faced impossible odds, and not only survived, but saved hundreds of others. They'd proven something Project Endurance never anticipated. Humanity's strength wasn't physical. It was moral. And that was far more dangerous than any weapon. The Academy's medical bay was full. Injured students from every species lay in beds, being treated by exhausted human medics. Gina moved between patients, her hands steady despite 3 days without sleep. Alien students who once mocked her now thanked her with genuine gratitude. Hana sat in a private room, getting cuts cleaned and bandages applied. Her body hurt everywhere, but she was alive. They were all alive. The door opened. Tai Yang entered, his face serious. "You need to see this." He pulled up his data pad. News feeds from across the galaxy. The Talon 9 incident was everywhere. Videos of humans saving aliens. Images of Hana standing on the fallen striper. Reports of Project Endurance's exposure. "I released everything," Tai Yang said quietly. "Every file. Every communication. Every piece of evidence about the conspiracy." "You what?" Hana stared at him. The galaxy needed to know what they tried to do to us, what we did instead. He smiled weakly. It's the biggest scandal in decades. Governments are scrambling. The Galactic Council is launching investigations. Headmaster Zenith was arrested 2 hours ago. Hannah watched the feeds, scroll past, outrage, shock, debate, but also something else, admiration. The galaxy was seeing humanity clearly for the first time. Not as warriors to fear, but as people to respect. There's more, Taiyang said. He switched to a personal message. From Colonel Dong-Yun. Hana, the colonel's recorded voice said. What you did on Talon 9 is being called the greatest act of interspecies heroism in history. Earth is proud. I'm proud. But more importantly, you showed them what I knew was there all along. That underneath the soldier is a human who chooses to be better. The galaxy needs that more than ever. Stay there. Show them more. The message ended. Hannah felt tears she'd been holding back for days finally break free. She wasn't just a weapon anymore. She was a person. And that person had made a difference. Over the next weeks, the academy transformed. New administration took over. Teachers who'd ignored human suffering were fired. The curriculum changed from competition to cooperation. And most surprisingly, alien students started approaching humans differently. Vrex was the first. The massive Vrelian who tried to hurt Suji on that first day. He found Hana in the cafeteria, all 4 arms held in a gesture of deep respect. I tried to break you, he said, his voice quiet. You saved my life instead. I want to understand. Teach me. Others followed. Students who'd seen humans as weak prey now wanted to learn from them. Not human fighting techniques or military tactics. They wanted to learn human cooperation, human problem solving, human compassion. Hana found herself leading classes on tactical thinking. But the lessons weren't about combat. They were about seeing situations differently, working together, putting mission above ego. Suji, the civilian girl who'd never fought, became a leader in psychological support. She helped both human and alien students process trauma from Talon 9. Her gentleness, once seen as weakness, became recognized as strength. Minho opened an engineering cooperative, teaching mixed species teens to innovate. His human approach of make it work with what you have revolutionized how alien students thought about problems. Gina's medical clinic became the most popular facility on the station. She didn't just treat bodies. She taught students to care for each other, breaking down species barriers one patient at a time. And Taiyang, the hacker who'd exposed everything, created an information network ensuring academy transparency. Never again would conspiracies hide in shadows. The humans didn't separate themselves anymore. They integrated, bringing their uniquely human perspective to everything. And slowly, the academy became what it was always meant to be. A place where species learned from each other. 3 months after Talon 9, the Galactic Council made an official announcement. Earth was formally recognized as a Tier 1 species with full political representation. But more than that, they issued an apology. The Council's message was broadcast across every world. Humanity has demonstrated qualities we failed to recognize. Resilience beyond physical strength. Cooperation beyond hierarchy. Compassion beyond survival instinct. We sought to test their weakness and discovered only our own. We apologize to Earth and commit to partnership based on mutual respect. Earth's response, delivered by Colonel Dong-Yun, was simple and perfect. We don't want your fear. We don't need your hierarchy. We want partnership. We want equals. Because that's what humans do. We lift others up. Hannah watched the broadcast from the viewing deck. Next to her stood a mixed group of students. Human, Vrelian, Chitauri, Lumen, Neferi. All studying together, laughing together, learning from each other. How does it feel? Suji asked, joining her. Being the catalyst for all this? Exhausting, Hana admitted. I just wanted to survive. Instead, I started a revolution. A good one, though. Suji gestured to the students. Look at them. A year ago, they'd have been enemies. Now they're friends. That's because of you. Because you chose to be better than the situation demanded. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. But you led. You showed us what was possible. Hannah thought about the war. About Carpathia. About arriving at the academy broken and tired. About everything that happened since. I was a soldier, she said quietly. I knew how to fight. How to kill. How to survive. But here, I learned something more important. I learned how to live. How to be human in the best possible way. A Vrelian student approached nervously. Hana, we have a question about tomorrow's tactical exercise. Hana smiled. Sure, what do you need? As she walked away to help, Suji watched her go. The scarred veteran who'd arrived expecting peace and found war. Who could have become bitter and cruel. Who instead became exactly what humanity needed her to be. A teacher. A leader. A human. 2 years passed. The academy flourished under its new purpose. Graduates went on to spread human concepts of cooperation and compassion throughout the galaxy. Trade routes improved. Conflicts decreased. Species that had been enemies for centuries started talking. Instead of fighting, and it all traced back to one night on Talon 9 when 32 humans chose to save people who didn't deserve saving. Hannah graduated at the top of her class with honors from every department. She received offers from military commands across the galaxy, diplomatic positions, teaching roles, even a seat on the Galactic Council. She turned them all down. Instead, she returned to Earth with a different mission. She joined a program helping young veterans transition from war to peace, from soldier to student, from survivor to human. Because she understood that journey. The nightmares, the guilt, the struggle to find purpose beyond combat. She'd walked that road and found her way through. On her first day, she met a young veteran named Kyung, 17 years old, haunted eyes, fresh from the Outer Rim, exactly like Hannah had been. I don't know how to stop being a soldier, Kyung said quietly. Hannah sat next to her. You don't stop being a soldier. You expand what that means. Soldier doesn't just mean fighter. It means protector, leader, someone who serves something bigger than themselves. How did you do it? I went to a school that tried to break me. And instead, I learned what being human really means. Not just surviving, living, caring, choosing to be better even when it's harder. Kyung looked at her with desperate hope. Can you teach me? Yes, Hannah said. But first, you need to know something. Being human isn't about being fearless or perfect. It's about being scared and imperfect and doing the right thing anyway. It's about falling down and getting back up. It's about seeing someone who needs help and choosing to help even when you're barely holding on yourself. She thought about Talon 9, about the academy, about every moment she'd wanted to quit but didn't. The war taught me to survive, Hana continued. But peace taught me to live. And living is harder than surviving. It requires more courage, more strength, more humanity. Kyung nodded slowly. I want to learn that. Then we'll learn it together. Because that's another thing about being human. We don't do anything alone. Over the months that followed, Hana worked with dozens of young veterans. She taught them what the academy taught her. That strength isn't about dominance. That courage isn't about fearlessness. That being human means choosing compassion when cruelty would be easier. Some days were hard. Nightmares still came. Scars still ached. But Hana had learned that healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about carrying your experiences forward and using them to help others. One evening, she stood in her small apartment, looking at her old military medals. The Solar Cross from Carpathia, the Academy's highest honor. Letters of commendation from grateful alien governments. She put them away in a drawer. They were part of her story, but they didn't define her anymore. What defined her were the veterans she'd helped find peace. The students she'd taught to see beyond fear. The changes she'd sparked just by choosing to be better than her circumstances demanded that she was Hana Kim, war veteran, Academy survivor, teacher, human. And she'd learned the most important lesson of all. The hardest battlefield isn't where you fight enemies. It's where you fight to remain yourself. Where you fight to choose kindness over cruelty, hope over despair, humanity over hatred. She'd won that battle. And in winning it, she'd shown the galaxy what humanity truly was. Not the strongest species, not the toughest or most advanced, but the one that refused to break, refused to surrender its compassion, and refused to stop lifting others up even when dragged down. The one that turned a school designed to break them into a place that built something better. The one that escaped one battlefield only to conquer another, not with weapons, but with the simple, powerful act of being human. And that, Hana knew, was the greatest victory of all.